Hey, I'm Natalie Biden, and I just turned 18, and I'm going to vote for the first time with my pop.
I'm so excited for her. It's the first time, the first vote. God love her.
We're on our way. Are you excited, Pop?
I'm excited to be voting with you, honey. It's a big deal.
Well, now that I voted, it was a much easier experience than I thought it would be. It was very easy when I was in the voting booth. I really feel like I made a difference, you know? Everyone's voices matters no matter what our age is. And we got our triple thick black and white milkshakes to celebrate.
Here's the voting.
Cheers, Pop.
All right, everybody. Such upbeat, beautiful.
Hey,
Stop. Collaborate and listen. Okay. First of all, I say all of this with total self-reflection and introspection. I know that I have a childish sense of humor. I know that I could be accused of being dirty-minded when we drive through the countryside and I see mountains and I look in the clouds. Look, I know my own reflexes. So I'm looking at this entire video and I'm assessing it through my own juvenile sense of humor. But I don't think I'm wrong. I just tweeted out a few minutes ago that, POTUS and team either don't understand optics, which is a problem, or they do. Knowing what Joe Biden has been accused of, knowing the issues within that family unit that the world is now widely aware of, knowing the montage of Joe sniffing and kissing little girls, when you go to Twitter and the first thing you see is this old man staring over the shoulder of a young girl in a manner that it's creepy. It's creepy. It makes me feel dirty. Right now, I feel like I need to wash my soul out a little bit. It's creepy. It's dirty. And the caption, hey, I'm Natalie Biden and I just turned 18. And watching this video, the internet being what it is, how do I get out of this? I want to get out of that. I'm going to say it again. I know I might have a dirty mind and see dirty juvenile humor wherever it exists and sometimes where it doesn't. I did a re-edit of this video. If people don't think that there are double entendres, suggestive statements throughout this, or statements that could be misinterpreted, or at the very least, memeified on the interwebs, behold this, people, 18-second supercut.
Hey, I'm Natalie Biden, and I just turned 18.
I'm so excited for her. It's the first time. God love her.
We're on our way. Are you excited, Pop? It was a much easier experience than I thought it would be. I really feel like I made a difference, you know? And we got our triple thick black and white milkshakes to celebrate. Hey, I'm Natalie Biden.
What the heck is it with ice cream, milkshakes, and... Okay. They either don't care about optics, they don't look at optics, or they do. If you are thought to be a perverted, child-sniffing old man, don't put out a video of you staring over the shoulder of your granddaughter, declaring that she just turned 18. God bless. By the way, perfect example where I understand that I have a childish, juvenile, dirty mind. So I saw this. This is the Ring. This is the Ring instruction panel. If Ring did not understand that this looks like a uterus in its current layout, they're not paying attention to optics. If they didn't realize that you flip it upside down, this is the Ring camera. If they don't know what that looks like, I don't care how old I get. That's there, people. Viva streaming from a sauna. No, I'm not streaming from a sauna today. I am in Canada. This is the room. The towel behind me is the only cloth I found in this room to block the window, add insulation. I'm in Canada, and it went from being snowy, cold, and blistering to it's raining today. I spent, I don't know how many hours shoveling 3 feet of snow off a roof. I liked the exercise. I did it. And now it's all melting away and raining, but it's probably good I removed it because if rain falls on 3 feet of snow, the extra weight it adds to a roof can be truly damaging to a house. And now I see a massive bird flying in the distance. All right, all that to say, people, good morning. This entire show is not going to be about Sniffy Joe and his perverted video that he puts out. It's not all going to be about Andrew Tate either. We're going to bounce around some subjects, but we are talking about Andrew Tate today. What I want to do first, before anything else, go to Rumble. We're live on Rumble. Things looking good out there. Yes, sir. There's a Chet Chisholm Rumble rant, $2, which says Dr. Jessica Rose would make an excellent guest. She has been doing plenty of work with VAERS. Her interview with Majid Nawaz is fantastic. Chet Chisholm, thank you very much for that Rumble rant. Good segue to the standard intro disclaimers. YouTube has these things called super chats. They take 30% of every super chat. If you don't like that, we are simultaneously streaming on Rumble. Rumble rants. Rumble takes 20% of Rumble rants, which is better for the creator, better for the platform, to support a platform you like to support. There was another part of that. Oh, yeah. We've got a Rona story to cover today. What else? No medical advice, no legal advice, no election fortification advice. Best place to support the channel above and beyond Rumble rants, super chats, merch at Viva Frei, which I'll show you later, but this is one of them. We are currently also engaged in a live chat on Locals, vivabarneslaw.locals.com, where resident Baudouin says, good morning to you and to all. Mighty Pez says, looks like a moose. Hold on. Oh, that, yeah, the ring thing. Give me a, you know what it does? It doesn't look like a moose. It looks like a wiener and balls. Or ovaries, or is it? Yeah, ovaries. Okay. I think I just knocked my computer a little bit. So it is. It'll be nice to get back to the studio. And by the way, I don't do New Year's resolutions, but I'm doing one now. I'm building out the studio in my place to be soundproof and have that purple LED lighting in the back. And it's going to spell Viva Frei in purple LED lighting. And I'll be able to change the color of the lighting. It'll be like rainbow. Like it'll be like this towel from 1992 that somehow I found in this room where I'm using wire to prop up my computer. I was going to use the ring box, but it was too. And this. What is this? What is this mouse? All right. On the menu for today, people. Yeah, Pissed Off Dragon. I don't know about the neon lights in the back, but I'm building out the studio to soundproof it. We've been in Florida now for July, August, September, October, November, December, January, 6 months. Jablinski game, waiting for Jablinski to play the video games, is over. I'm going to soundproof the room, and I'm also going to do many more in-person interviews at the local studio because they have a beautiful studio. And it'll be a great place to do interviews in person. Let me see here. Okay, so on the menu, we're going to get to Tate. I think we'll do Tate when we get to Rumble. For now, let's talk about a story. If you watch Salty Cracker, you probably already heard about this. And it's one of those stories where I'm not making the channel about what some people could misconstrue as Schadenfreude, died suddenly nonsense. We're living in a world now where Cernovich put out an interesting tweet, and I understand what he was getting at. He said, I don't have the tweet readily available, but he said, oh, would you look at that? I've gotten interested in something, and now I'm noticing it's happening more and more everywhere. It's an interesting thing. It's confirmation bias. You know, when you're looking for golf balls in the forest, as my father always says, anything white will catch your eye. Whether or not we are looking for died suddenly events now, those of us who have been traumatized by the age in which we live, I appreciate Cernovich's take on the psychology behind noticing things more often once you start looking for them. That being said, excess mortality is up. We're noticing certain things which are happening more and more often, whether it's died suddenly from what they literally try to pass off as climate change, or it's died suddenly from the even more tragic taking one's own life. We're noticing it more now because I think it is in fact happening more now. Excess deaths are up. So it's not a question of saying we're picking examples that would have otherwise existed to draw rules that don't exist out of them. The trend is there. The only question now is what's the explanation? But in the latest installment of a doctor heavily involved in administering the jibby jab, dying suddenly. It's another sick, sad story. I double-checked that there were no... how do I get rid of this bar thing on the top? Okay, it's gone. I double-checked to make sure, A, that, you know, there's no other factors that could be potentially involved. Stephen Bonner dies suddenly from heart issues. People can make the mistake of jumping to the jibby jab, even though Stephen Bonner, by all accounts, was very much opposed to the jibby jab. And by all accounts, had many, many other serious problems that quite clearly contributed to his untimely, tragic death. Looking through the article, wanted to make sure that it wasn't another case of a doctor taking their own lives, as we just saw in Canada. I forget the name of the doctor, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful. A 35-year-old doctor died suddenly, actually took his own life. Just to scroll to the end of this to show you where, I'll get that thing out of there. It says his specialist, there was a part, well, we'll get to the end where it says it wasn't related. It wasn't him taking his own life, but why am I reading this? Not to relish, not for schadenfreude, nothing. I still say knowing these stories and paying attention to them is necessary in order to prevent this from happening to other people in as much as it's possible at this point in time. This article, however, drafted from an entirely different, sick perspective. A family doctor who is heavily involved with administering the jibby jab dies suddenly. The entire article is framed around anti-vaxxers. It's framed around demonizing a group of people who had absolutely nothing to do with this man's tragic, sudden death. What do I mean? Well, let's just wait and see. I'm going to see if we can see this. We can. Here. Family doctor. Listen to this. The doctor, 38, dies suddenly. We'll get to the issue. Or what it wasn't. It was not mental health issues, as they specified in the end. Dies suddenly. How do we frame this? Bombarded by death threats from anti-vaxxers during pandemic. Dies suddenly. Hong Kong-born Dr. Wilson Chin, who was subjected to death threats from anti-vaxxers during the pandemic, passed away shortly before Christmas. This article is about a young doctor's untimely sudden death being framed somehow to vilify a group of people who have nothing to do with the story, the heart of the story. A family doctor who received death threats from anti-vaxxers during the pandemic has died suddenly. Dr. Wilson Chin, who was described as gentle and kind, and I'm sure he was, had previously broken down in tears as he described the abuse he received while running a COVID vaccination clinic on Australia's Gold Coast. And by the way, not only do they frame this article in an attempt to vilify a swath of people who have nothing to do with the underlying story, this article, in fact, confirms the very rumors that they seek to appeal to in order to vilify a slew of people. What are those rumors? But wait. The British-trained Hong Kong doctor who immigrated to Australia in 2018 passed away shortly before Christmas. Chin was popular with patients and colleagues at the Pacific Pines Med Centers and known in his local community for walking his dog Splash. He made headlines in January when he tried to warn people of a false rumor being spread on social media that claimed 2 girls had fainted and died after treatment at Pacific Pines Med Centers. By the way, understand what we just read here, and those of you who have been here for a while will know where I'm going with this. What's the statement here? The statement is a conjunctive. It's a rumor, a false rumor, being spread on social media that claimed that 2 girls had fainted and died. The rumor is not that 2 girls had fainted. The rumor was not that 2 girls had died. The rumor was that 2 girls had fainted and died after treatment. And I think treatment means the jibby jab. So if they fainted but didn't die, it's not a false rumor. If they, I don't know, hypothetically in another circumstance, if they died elsewhere, like, I don't know, tragically in a car crash, it wouldn't be fainted and died. It would still be a false rumor, although it might be true, but they just didn't faint and die. The kicker? Apparently they did, in fact, faint after being administered the treatment at his clinic. But the false rumor is that they fainted and died. It was claimed that both girls collapsed and began screaming. Oh, okay. Well, if they didn't die, it's a false rumor that they fainted and died. But it's true that they fainted or that they collapsed and started screaming. But Chin confirmed to 9 News at the time it was simply a fainting episode unrelated to the vaccine. Oh, so they did collapse and begin screaming, but they didn't die. And it was simply a fainting episode unrelated to the vaccine. Am I an anti-vaxxer for being somewhat skeptical, cynical of this explanation, or coming to the conclusion that it's a distinction without a difference? How many people, I was just thinking also, how many people could this guy have administered the jibby jab to? Like, I'm trying to think, how many? 2,000 people? Could be a lot. If this guy administered the vaccine to 2,000 people and 2 of the 2,000 collapsed, because the admission here, and understand it, they did in fact collapse. Whether or not they began screaming is a separate issue. When people faint or collapse, although thinking about that lawyer at the convoy who collapsed, was screaming when he hit the ground. The rumor that they fainted and died is false. There's an admission here that they collapsed, but it had nothing to do with the vaccine. The girls suffered no ill health impacts after fainting. How do we determine that? I mean, did they do a D-dimer test? Did they go to the hospital to have certain vitals checked, certain blood tests administered? Do we know what's going to happen in 5 years from this? Do we know how they've had no ill health impacts as at the time of saying all they did was faint, and I don't know what else we've looked into. So the rumor is true to the extent that apparently at least 2 people collapsed after being administered treatment. But don't worry, it had nothing to do with the jibby jab, and then he started getting death threats and harassment as a result of something that was true. Dr. Chin took to Facebook writing, I've been in touch with the parents every day since the children fainted, even before the news channel approached me. Oh, he was approached by the news channels as well. Are they also anti-vaxxers? I can confirm that they are doing very well and would like to ask everyone to respect their privacy, please. Oh, I can confirm that they're doing very well. Can you imagine this whole story about this guy's untimely death is being framed in a way to blame other people for coming to perfectly reasonable conclusions based on what is admitted as being in fact correct in this? 2 people of this guy's clinic in particular, young girls, collapsed after treatment, but don't worry, they're fine, no ill effects, and it had nothing to do with the treatment that seemingly preceded their imminent collapse. Okay, then we got some more of this. Oh, then he talks about the death threats, why this is all relevant in the context of his untimely, tragic, sudden death. The abuse included claims that the center was poisoning kids and kid killers worked there, according to the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners. I thought this might have been relevant in that this might have pushed Dr. Chin to take his own life, but listen to this. Dr. Chin, RACGP, that's the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners, President Karen, that's unfortunate, Price, said the abuse was unacceptable. I think death threats are always unacceptable. Period, full stop. Call me old-fashioned. I don't think anybody needs to say that death threats are unacceptable. They're unacceptable. She said Dr. Chin had to stay at a friend's house because he was so concerned for his safety, and there have been sleepless nights for fellow GPs, the practice manager, and the other members of the practice team. This shows you how reckless anti-vaxxers can be. Facts, reason, and rationality don't matter, only their twisted agenda, Dr. Price said. The girls fainted from something totally unrelated. Shut your mouths. Don't ask questions. Here we go. It says his death was due to a medical issue and was not mental health related, which seems to roll out the self-inflicted COD, cause of death, not cash on demand. But yeah, it's everyone else's fault. It's those damn anti-vaxxers for saying, holy crab apples, 2 young girls collapsed after treatment. Are we allowed asking questions? Like, if it's not coupled with threats and harassment, can it be just asking questions? Or is Australia going the New Zealand way and saying, if you ask questions of your government, you might be an extremist? That's the worst accent I've ever had. That's the story. That's a terrible story. And whether or not we're noticing it more because we're looking for it, or whether or not it's happening more so we're noticing it, to be determined. Now, I did notice a green super chat somewhere in YouTube, which I'm going to go to if I can find it and read it and thank the person who gave it. Here it is. Fair Frozen 55, remaining in Florida beyond these 6 months. Things have gotten worse up in Canada land since you left. I'm guessing returning isn't on the table yet. Returning long term? I have my 3-year plan, and we'll see what happens during that time here. Watching Justin Trudeau, Aaron O'Toole, my goodness. Trust the science from fried pie. By the way, we want pie? Fried Pie, check this out. 3.14159265358973323. That's as far as I ever got in remembering. 3.14159265358973323. Chat, fact check me. Did I get that proper? I think I did. Pasha Moyer in the house. Had a dream last night. I developed a surefire way to shut down those trying to force pronoun use on me, but now I can't remember what it was. Help. I had a dream. I'm not your buddy guy. We are fast approaching the Rubicon in the war between the nationalists and the globalists. Globalism's success relies on freedom and liberty's death. I'm not so cynical, but it certainly is a war of the minds. ACOR, look, you might have made the right... People might have made the right decision at the time based on incomplete information, but I think, generally speaking, doing nothing to interfere with the body's natural functioning is probably more often than not the right rule to adopt as a rule. Rules admit of exceptions, or at the very least, superseding rules. But Tony Clifton was not always Andy Kaufman. He had two Christopher Walkens. Okay, I get that joke. All right, now let me see what's going on in dang dude, impressive. That's from high school, by the way. Let me see in Rumble if there's any Rumble rants that I missed. There is. Is it a Chet Chisholm one? No, I think I got that one. It's another Chet Chisholm. No, it's Ken Media Reader. Viva, did you see John Campbell's post on Rumble? I did not, and I will after this. And let's see what's going on in the vivabarneslaw.locals.com chat. People are talking. Good. So that's the latest tragic news. The latest news coming out of Canada, when you talk about how much further off the deep end can it go? Do y'all remember that video that Justin Trudeau put out? Like another one of those, I'm too close to your face videos and I don't need to see the imperfections in your teeth, Justin Trudeau. And I say this again, full introspection, full self-reflection. I appreciate that sometimes I get a little too close to the camera. Sometimes people see a little bit of detail in my face that I don't really want people seeing, like the patchy little blemish right here, the little whiskey. And you know where I'm going with this, but Justin Trudeau put out that video. It makes you feel dirty by watching it because it's right up in his face. And he goes, hey, everybody, I'm taking a lot of questions. And I'm going to take your questions. I was going to start with this video, but I didn't want people to puke right away. We're not going to watch the whole thing. But Justin Trudeau put out that video. Selfie, personable, so close to his face you can smell him through your computer screen, asking for questions, and people put questions in. And I now know what a ratio is by definition from my live stream with the plebs the day before yesterday. I'm not taking pride in the fact that my questions got ratios. I want to highlight that my questions were clearly of interest to a great many people. Based on the number of likes, hearts, retweets, whatever the hell it is, not one of my questions got answered. Why? Because Justin Trudeau was too busy answering questions about how dogs would wear pants. Because he's so cute and funny, and he's such a personable human.
Are things that are going to benefit Canadians in indirect and direct ways. So yes, Canada is incredibly fortunate to be able to help out around the world, and we need to, even as we support people at home. Okay, question from Callum.
He's so funny. He's so funny.
If a dog wore pants, would he wear them like this or like this? I don't know. I think the whole point of pants is to cover your bum. So I think I have to reject this one, even though, yes, he's got legs in the front. I've seen enough cute dogs walking on their hind legs or standing up that I think I'd go with option 2 on the dogs wearing pants. Thank you, Callum. I think with that.
Oh, with that. Oh, sorry. No more questions. No more questions, Viva. First of all, if I may just be scientific for a moment, let me just get to the screen grab here. Oh, he's such a personable, lovable human. How the heck would the pants stay on in Image 8? They would always fall down to the heels, Justin. Second of all, you think pants are intended to cover the bum, but not the wang? And third of all, you've seen enough. What did he say about that? I've seen enough cute
If a dog
dogs.
wore is to cover your bum. So I think I have to reject this one, even though, yes, he's got legs in the front. I've seen enough cute dogs walking on their hind legs.
I've seen enough cute dogs walking on their hind legs. So setting aside all of the humor, and it's so cute to waste 35 seconds. 35 seconds of an 8-minute video is about 10%. Am I? That's about 10%. Imagine wasting 1/10 of your useful time being an idiot. Let me listen. I have 8 minutes and 15 seconds to answer the questions of Canadians who are experiencing inflation at rates never seen before, who have had their charter rights violated like soiled underwear. Let me take 35 seconds of this video to answer the stupid question as to whether or not dogs wear pants on all 4 legs or on their hind section. It is literally playing the fiddle while Rome burns. But he's so cute and he's so charismatic. And I didn't look at his socks to see. I'm not reading that. Get that out of here. Bearpaw, thank you very much. That's a beautiful dog, by the way. Damn. That's a good looking dog. Handsome. All right, I'm not reading that one either. All right, I've lost faith when my cousin who got myocarditis from the jibby jab saying she doesn't regret it and isn't an anti-vaxxer or right-wing extremist. That's the truly sad part, is that people who have suffered under it have to they have to rationalize their own sacrifice. It's what is it? Sunk cost theory. It's sunk cost theory. You cannot admit that you sacrifice, because not to get no medical advice, from what I've been told by doctors who I think are smarter than me, they've made a serious sacrifice to their own well-being. But typically a sacrifice has some net positive at the end. You sacrifice a bishop in chess for a strategic advantage in the long term. I don't consider sacrificing your well-being for no long-term strategic advantage to be a sacrifice. I just consider it to be, what's the word I'm looking for? But the bottom line, I think they understand it's just a loss. They have had something robbed from them, and the only way to rationalize what has been robbed from their physical well-being is to try to construe it as some form of sacrifice for the greater good. Oh, I'll take the hit, but other people will do this, and it'll somehow be for the greater good, even though the jibby jab doesn't stop transmission, contracting, or carrying the virus, even though at best it minimizes the symptoms for people who at worst would have had mild symptoms to begin with, who at worst would have had virtually insignificant chance of hospitalizations in any event, but I'll feel it in my heart for the rest of my life, pun intended. Stockholm Syndrome says, Fukings OC. That's it. And that's it. Okay. But by the way, we're not done with Canada yet. We're gonna finish with one more before we're running over to Rumble. Let me just see what's going on in Rumble. Rumble's beautiful. Look at this. Holy crab apples. I saw a Rumble rant from Real Newshead. Not happening. Although if we were going to go with the longest word in the English language, it would be phloxy-nihilipilification or anti-disestablishmentarianism. But I think phloxy-nihilipilification is longer. Pepe pain, which means Pepe bread. Brother, we have to break the dichotomy. Quoting one story from mainstream and considering it false, yet using the same outlet to verify other things is insanity. Love you, bro. Pepe pan, no. It's not the same thing. This is the argument, by the way, for anyone who can't read, it's a $5 Rumble rant on Rumble. The argument here, and I'm very sensitive to it, is I think mainstream media are pathological liars, benders of the truth, misinformation purveyors in their spirit. How then can I pull up a story and rely on it for any purpose whatsoever if I think the Mirror are partisan propagandist, fake news purveyors? How can I? Someone can be a liar, but when they make an admission that goes against their own typical traditional interests, that's called a party admission. That tends to be more reliable than party lies. So, first of all, I still verify and double check and cross-reference with other sources. But when an interested party takes a position that runs against their standard narrative, their standard political, partisan news media interests, it carries more weight, more credibility than their lies. So it's not hypocritical. To say that mainstream media are disingenuous liars does not mean that they always lie. It just means that when it comes to certain issues, you better double check your sources. When it comes to certain issues, you better make sure that you're not relying on that one source with a history of misinforming and lying. But one thing that it does mean, when they do, in fact, make certain admissions that run contrary to their typical narrative, it does carry more weight than their self-serving lies. That's how it works as evidence in court. That's the philosophy I adopt in life. So when ABC News or CBS News or NBC, whichever one of those pathological liars put out the story on Ukraine and the aid, military and financial, only 30% of which makes it to the end lines, and then deletes the story, I put weight on that. I put more weight on that than I put on their deletion of the story. When NBC Miguel Almaguer comes out and says Paul Pelosi opened the door himself, welcomed in the police, and then went voluntarily right back to his assailant at 2:40 in the morning, and then they delete that story, I put more weight in the original publication than I do in the deletion. Social media is a psyop. I can now, I think there's no question I agree with that to some extent. I've been saying for a while, I saw no utility to Twitter. I saw no way that that company, which never posted a profit, could stay in business for so many years unless it had a purpose that was non-monetary, which might have been intelligence gathering. And I think that prediction, if anybody can find my tweet about that, the tweet has to be at least 3 years old, maybe 4 years old, and I can't seem to find it. But I did at one point say, how does this company stay in business if they lose money year over year unless it has a non-monetary utility to it, which might be intelligence gathering? If anybody can find that tweet, my goodness, it aged well. And by the way, beautiful dog. That is another majestic dog. No notification on YouTube or Rumble that you are live. Had to manually get to this vid. In fairness to both of them, I set it up late last night, so I don't know. Maybe I'm late in the line of notifications, but whatever. What was I just about to say? I got distracted by the dog. So that's my take on invoking or relying on media, even though I think they are consistently liars and purveyors of misinformation. We're not done with Canada yet. We're not done with what Canada yet. I got one more story. Because it's, Canada is politically speaking, is failing, is falling, not just because of Trudeau. I've always said I never thought one man, one human, with their own two hands and their own one sick brain could destroy a country so easily and so quickly. And I still stand by that. But there is something of a team effort in all of this. Because even one person couldn't do it if there were opposition, if there were meaningful pushback. You know what the meaningful pushback we have in Canada is? Jagmeet Singh. Jagmeet Singh is the meaningful pushback that we have in Canada. I can't find the damn thing. A second. When I say that I always have neurotic self-reflection before I make an accusation, before I make an insult, before I accuse someone of being ad hominem, I know that people are going to go pull up tweets where I have been ad hominem. When I accuse people of having lack of insight, I am very much aware that someone's going to make that accusation of me. And so I say, well, let me make sure before I accuse this person of this, have I ever been guilty of doing it myself in the past? This is our opposition, by the way, to Justin Trudeau. Jagmeet Singh. I'm not mispronouncing his name to be funny. His name is pronounced Jagmeet. He once specified this. There you go. Pronounced Jagmeet, not Jagmeet as I thought it was. Leader of Canada's New Democratic Party. They make it so easy to make fun of them because they are arrogant, pompous pricks with absolutely no insight, no self-reflection, no introspection, and no humility. Everything that they get, everything that they have, they deserve. They need it. When they have the finest things in the world while Canadians suffer, they deserve it. But the greedy CEOs that Jagmeet Singh dedicates his Twitter feed to lambasting, they don't deserve it. Greed is driving inflation. Canadians shouldn't have to suffer and fight paycheck to paycheck. But let me just wish everyone a happy holiday season while my 2-year-old kid is wearing a jacket that costs more than most Canadians make in a week. Wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. It's our first Christmas with Anand, and we're so excited. From our family to yours, we wish you a warm, joyful holiday season. This jacket, for anybody who doesn't know, that's the logo. That logo is Canada Goose. Other than people having ethical issues with Canada Goose, and you can go look those up yourself, that jacket costs nearly $1,000. I mean, I think it's like, at the very least, $600 plus tax. Tax in Canada is 15%, depending on your province. Let me just look at Jugmeat's Twitter history. On Monday, Parliament will vote on an NDP motion to fight greedflation, confronting tax avoidance by CEOs, launching an investigation into greedy CEOs, lowering your food prices. Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau can either stand with CEOs or workers. I stand with workers. I stand with workers in a plush down, faux fur neck, Canada Goose jacket for my infant. A huge, often ignored cause of inflation is corporate greed. How about your bloody salaries, Jugmeat? I can go on and on and on. Where's the price of that jacket? Oh, here we go. This guy. See, this one got the Grizzly Bomber for $600, but this is not the same jacket because this one doesn't even have the faux fur around the neck. And some of these prices were in US also. These are the people guiding us. These are the people leading us morally. And by the way, no one should misconstrue this. This is nothing against capitalism. People should be entitled to make as much money as they legally are allowed to make. And the government's not entitled to all of that money regardless. This is not to shame people who make money and spend it on extravagant things. Make money legally, make money fairly, make money honestly, but make money consistently also. You know, the CEO of the Red Cross making $600,000 a year and driving a Bugatti. I don't know if they drive a Bugatti, but you know, you want to be a teacher. You should abandon the hope or the desire of driving a Ferrari. You want to be a public servant because that's what politicians are. And while Canadians are suffering, you're posting. By the way, did anybody notice the watch in his hand also? Anybody notice the watch? Where is it? Escape. Anybody notice that watch on his hand? That's a fancy watch. Anybody read that article, Once Upon a Time? Let's just see this here. Jagmeet Singh, designer bikes. This was in Toronto Life. Here we go. Look at this. He's a hero. The greatest showman. The left has pinned its hope on Jugmeat. This is an old article. And I remember there was a word, most people. He says, yada, yada, yada. Radicalized people. You see lots of people. Hold on. It says he had more bikes. Oh, it was, let's see, designer. Here we go. Jugmeat has a taste for dandy luxuries that don't comport with the monkish minimalism of his party. Oh, don't say. In other words, he's a flagrant hypocrite. I don't stand with greedy CEOs. I stand with the workers. He owns 2 Rolex watches, an Oyster Perpetual Date Just, and Submariner. Both were gifts. Oh, that makes it okay. That actually makes it a little bit worse in my mind, considering your politicians serving the public. Who are they gifts from? When? I mean, maybe they were gifts that predate his whatever. A crimson BMW coupe, 6 designer bicycles. I have just an absurd number of bikes, he says. More than one person should have. His kirpan, a ceremonial Sikh dagger, he wears under his jacket, is a steel designed by a metalworker outside Boston. Since joining Queen's Park in 2011, Singh has become one of the city's most devoted partygoers. A regular at King West night spots and gala fundraisers and fashion shows and Raptor games. Hypocrites. This is the opposition in Canada. You know, one thing is certain throughout times of communism, fascism, Maoism, whatever you want to call it. The political class, until they turn on each other and start, jailing each other and executing each other, the political class tends to fare well. in all eras of oppression. The political class manages to do very well as the people suffer. People are cutting down meals in Canada to make ends meet. Jagmeet Singh, who's taken 3 pay raises during the COVID pandemic, who's got more designer bikes than anybody needs. Rolex, Canada Goose, down jacket for his 2-year-old infant, who will outgrow that jacket by the time winter is over. That's the opposition in Canada, and that might explain why we are headed where we are headed. All right, with that said now, I think it is about time to bring on the Tate, but let's go bring on the Tate in the Rumbles exclusively. We've done 40 minutes on both YouTube and Rumble. Because I am exclusive with Rumble and the exclusivity requires exclusivity, we're going to wind up on YouTube now. And don't worry, I'll post snips and clips on Viva Clips and the stream, the remainder on YouTube tomorrow. For now, we're going to go support the platform that supports free speech, support the platform that is standing up to the political, social pressure to censor the likes of Andrew Tate, even if Andrew Tate seems to have both feet in hot water right now. One last one. My dad gave me a Rolex for graduation. Is my political career over? Oh, LOL. Buckle brush? No, only if you grow up to be a political hypocrite. Get 6 designer bikes, custom dagger, BMW, Canada Goose jacket for your kids. I stand with workers. While I take 3 pay raises, am remunerated better than 95, 98% of Canadians off your tax dollars after you are taxed up the wazoo. You can't eat. My kid can get a designer down fur coat. I can ride bikes and whatever. Oh yeah, no, that's cool. It's cool. But yeah, fight the power. You are not the only one. Are you ready to rumble, Eve? Let's do it. All right, everybody. Wind it down. There's 3,157 people currently watching here on Rumble. What are we at? 7,000 and climbing. Hey, we might get to 10,000 on Rumble today. Let's see it. Okay. Boom shakalaka. It's there. Only if you acquire. But the thing is this, they could be politicians and still own Rolexes. It's not wealth that's the issue. It's the vilifying of the wealth, the excessive, endless taxation of the wealth as though that's the solution to anything, and the hypocrisy of pretending to be a man of the people while living with the elite, which is what Jagmeet Singh does. Okay, doesn't matter. We're off. We're done. 3,000 on YouTube. Let's end it on YouTube. Move it over to Rumble. Ending on YouTube.